Imagine receiving an invitation to a wedding at a mansion abandoned for decades. The paper is old, the ink is crimson, and the words send a chill down your spine. Do not be late. When Eliza arrives at Blackwood Manor, she discovers a ceremony unlike any other. A bride with no face, silent guests, and a dark secret that demands a new guest of honor. This is the night of the bride. A tale of curiosity, terror, and a wedding you'll never forget. The invitation arrived on a moonless night, slipped under the door of Eliza's small apartment. The paper was thick and yellowed, the edges frayed as if it had been buried for years. The words were written in deep crimson ink, swirling and elegant. You are cordially invited to the wedding of the century. Midnight. Blackwood Manor. Do not be late. Eliza frowned. She didn't know anyone getting married, and Blackwood Manor had been abandoned for decades. The place was a local legend, whispered about in hushed tones. They said the last wedding held there ended in tragedy. The bride vanished and the groom was found dead, his face frozen in terror. But curiosity got the better of her. At 11:30 p.m., Eliza found herself standing at the iron gates of Blackwood Manor, the wind howling through the trees like a mournful cry. The manor loomed ahead, its windows dark and lifeless, its stone walls crumbling with age. As she stepped inside, the air grew colder. The grand hall was lit by flickering candles, their flames casting long, dancing shadows on the walls. A dozen guests stood in silence, their faces pale and expressionless. They didn't speak, didn't move, just stared straight ahead, as if waiting for something. At the stroke of midnight, the doors at the far end of the hall creaked open. A figure emerged, draped in a tattered wedding gown. The bride's veil obscured her face, but Eliza could feel her gaze, heavy and unrelenting. The guests turned in unison, their eyes now fixed on Eliza. "Welcome," the bride whispered, her voice echoing as if it came from everywhere and nowhere. "You are the guest of honor." Eliza's heart pounded. She tried to back away, but the doors slammed shut behind her. The guests began to chant, their voices low and guttural, as the bride glided closer. "You shouldn't have come," the bride said, lifting her veil. Eliza gasped. The bride had no face, just a smooth, featureless expanse of skin. The candles blew out, plunging the room into darkness. Eliza screamed, but no sound came out. She felt cold hands grab her, pulling her deeper into the shadows. When the candles relit, Eliza was gone. The guests stood motionless once more, their faces blank. The bride stood at the altar, her veil back in place. And on the floor where Eliza had stood lay a single red rose. The next morning, the townsfolk found the gates of Blackwood Manor wide open. Inside, the grand hall was empty, save for a yellowed invitation on the floor. It read, "Thank you for attending. The ceremony was perfect,